Good afternoon. My name is U.A. Lewis. I am a civil rights attorney for the Lewis Law Group in Houston, Texas. I'm here with attorney Sharday Parker and Ashton Woods from Black Lives Matter Houston. Today we're here joining the Jackson family, Chester Jackson's family, and we do want to start first by thanking the Texas Rangers for commencing their investigation and helping the family to come to some answers here in this full investigation for the events that occurred involving Chester Jackson Jr. Chester Jackson Jr.'s family is here, and they are here because they have some answers but are still looking for more. And Chester Jackson's father is here with us. This is Chester Jackson Sr. that's joined with us, and Miss Eddie Wilson, his mother, is joined with us, along with his family, his children, and his friends and community members. We are going to start with the timeline of what happened with Chester starting on April 19th. On Friday. Chester was having a mental crisis, and his family recognized that mental crisis and tried to get help from Burleson County. They called Burleson County to come over and give them some assistance, but his mental crisis that he was suffering was misidentified as public intoxication, so he was taken into the Burleson County jail as a result. Once he was in the jail, Chester continued to have an exhibit that he was having a mental crisis. And at about 8 p.m., he was booked in the jail and placed into a cell. As the night went on, the next time that we have facts to support what happened to Chester was through videotape that was produced to us. It was at 3:30 a.m. in the morning before Saturday morning arrived, when Chester was in a cell by himself that included a cord with a wire hanging from it from the ceiling, and a dangerous metal pipe was in that cell with him. Chester remained in that cell with those items until the next day. The next time that we have documented facts on what went on with Chester was at approximately 11:30 p.m. the next day on Saturday night. That is when you see that there's a video that exists of an officer from Caldwell City Police that entered into Chester's cell and asked him to move to another cell. Chester was 100% compliant and went with that officer to the second cell that they were moving him to. Once he arrived to that cell, there's video that depicts Chester being shoved by this Caldwell Police Department officer. That officer shoved Chester into a cement wall, and then his head struck a metal toilet. After that occurred, Chester was not given any medical treatment. He was not monitored medically, but he was seen the next day walking and talking, as he was next transported here to Cross Creek Hospital. He arrived at Cross Creek Hospital accompanied by 2 Burleson County Sheriff's deputies. Those deputies released Chester to the custody of Cross Creek Hospital here. Cross Creek Hospital took custody of Chester, and once they got custody of Chester, they determined that he needed to be sedated for whatever reason. When he was sedated, he was given a cocktail. He was given a cocktail of 3 different substances. We come to understand those substances are Benadryl, Ativan, and Haldol. And it's standard according to professionals. However, not only was he given this sedative, he was placed in some sort of hold. And after he was placed in this hold, he went into cardiac arrest. And he flatlined, and he needed CPR and to be resuscitated. That happened, we know, at the hands of the Cross Creek Hospital. We don't know what led to whatever this hold was or what the purpose of this hold was, but we do know that it occurred here at Cross Creek Hospital. So now we have more answers that we need from Cross Creek, in addition to Burleson County, in addition to the Caldwell Police Department, on what happened to Chester and why he did not receive medical attention after he struck his head in the hospital, in the jail, and if that played a role in him receiving the sedation here at the hospital and beyond. Chester now is in St. David Hospital. He arrived there and had to be placed on life support and was placed in ICU. We're happy to report today that Chester has been stabilized and Chester is no longer in ICU. But we are still seeking answers to everybody that played a role here. Everyone from Cross Creek Hospital that played a role in the custody and care of Chester, from the magistrate who told Miss Eddie Wilson that she could not pick up her son on Saturday morning prior to this video of her son being shoved by this officer, who went on to deny that he shoved Chester before all of our eyes, and we know that we all saw the truth of what happened to Chester in that jail that night. He should have been released to his family earlier that day so that his mother could get the treatment that she sought from him, and she was adamant that she did not want her son to come to Austin. She was adamant that she wanted her son to get mental health treatment and that she wanted him to come to Houston. And she was not given that opportunity by Burleson County officers. And now we are here and we don't have answers. Thank you.
Do you mind if we ask a couple
Sure.
of questions, especially with the timeline? You say that his mother was not given the option to take him to Houston, but the reporting shows that the deputy had explained that no hospital would take him in the condition that he's in because he was suspected of being on PCP. Do we have anything yet confirmed on whether or not he was on PCP, or was that just speculation still at this point?
It was poor speculation, purely speculation. We do have documentation from the toxicology from when he was, as he entered the hospital, there was a toxicology that was taking a screen, and he had no PCP in his system.
At this hospital or St. David?
It would be at St. David, because remember, he arrived at St. David shortly after arriving here, within hours. So the toxicology should be the same as it would be here if they have records. If they have records, they have not provided us with records. We have shared, we've asked for that information, they have not shared it with us. However, St. David's has shared with us that he did not have any PCP or any substances in his system.
Prior to yesterday, when the 911 call came out, did his parents know at all anything that had transpired here? That it happened? Was the hospital just not telling anybody anything?
Well, obviously, we don't have those answers. We still don't have them now. And I would say this is a clue as to what is going on, and so they still need answers.
And I only ask that because in the first rally that you guys had outside of the jail, I remember his mother saying, My son's been resuscitated twice, so I'm just curious, how did she know he was resuscitated twice? If we didn't know what was happening here?
That was information that St. David shared.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. Another question, there's been talk on social media about the purpose of the rally 2 weeks ago in front of the county jail. And there have been some who have said, okay, now we were starting to get the answers, and it looks like fingers are starting to be pointed here. But please talk about how there is still the issue of how we went a month without any information at all from the sheriff's office, and that you had that rally outside of the jail, because at that point, you still knew nothing at all. Is that correct?
Right, correct. And so let me clarify. It looks as though the finger pointing has changed from Burleson County to the outside to Cross Creek. It has not changed. the fingers are now pointing in more directions, not in a different direction. So Burleson County still has responsibility, because remember, it's Burleson County who brought Chester into custody on a public intoxication charge, who did not provide any type of records. They took him into custody without an order, for a mental health order. They did not let his parents know that they were taking him to Austin, and they maintained custody of him, and they had no authority to do so based on the information they gave us, which is none. They have zero records. You can't take a person off the street, hold them in custody from Friday, Saturday until Sunday without documenting not one moment of that. It is required by law that you document that you have a person in your custody, and those documents do not exist. And further, we still saw excessive force in that jail. That excessive force may not have ever come to light, but for Chester being here at Cross Creek. But we have that video that is undisputed, that there was excessive force there. It's a Fourth Amendment violation, and that cannot be glossed over. Nobody should go to jail on a public intoxication misdemeanor charge and be shackled by their feet, handcuffed, and then tossed about a cell. No person should be having mental conditions and then be ignored and cannot getting any type of medical treatment at that jail. He should have gotten mental health treatment at that jail, but he did not, and it was not documented. Further, nobody else who has been placed on notice, like Burleson County, by his family, should place somebody that's exhibiting mental health issues in a cell with a cord, a wire hanging from the ceiling long enough to where he could self-injure, and also place him in a cell where there's a metal rod. And this is all depicted on the video. You can see all these on the
That's where the
release
deputy's
video.
asking, hey, give me the rod, give me the rod.
Remember, but
Yeah.
this was after him being there from 3 a.m. the morning before until 11 that night. So that was a wait and see situation as far as I'm concerned.
He'd been in there for a while.
He had been in there for a long time and did not bite on whatever tools that were available to him to self-harm, because they definitely were in that cell. So with Chester being moved and 100% compliant, everybody can see in those videos that Chester was 100% compliant with these officers. He was not violent. He may have been aggressive from time to time, agitated, but never was he aggressive. There's not one video that they've given us that showed Chester doing anything to harm himself or anybody else, or even threat to harm anybody else. So let's be clear, Burleson County is not, and another thing, they allowed these Caldwell officers into this jail to come in contact with his officer, with their inmate, and they had no business being there. The officers that we have documentation on are not licensed jailers, and they should not have been in that jail. One of the officers that was there had a jailer's license that expired, that he acquired through Burleson County, and he acquired through Washington County, but they're expired. He had no business going to Chester cell, touching him, let alone shoving him around.
Have you had a face-to-face meeting with either the chief or the sheriff? Or
I have not had a face-to-face with the chief of Caldwell Police, but I do want to commend him for at least taking some efforts to address this. As far as the sheriff, I have had a face-to-face with the sheriff, and he did indicate to me that he had a video of Chester being fine as he was released from the jail. So that information he's given us has amounted to be somewhat true. He was never released. Let's be clear. We keep stating that he was released from this jail, and he was not.
But he was still detained.
He was still in custody of the sheriff's department all the way until he reached Austin here at Cross Creek Hospital.
Do you feel like, had you not held that rally and without the media attention, that those records would have never been released to you, the body cameras, because you went a whole month without having anything?
I can't say that, but what I will say is I know that this attention has made some changes that we needed. It did put pressure on the department and also the sheriff's office on getting us some answers. And I absolutely think that social media and everybody who shared this through social media, as well as regular journalists here have all played a role in this, and we cannot be more thankful for getting this information out. We know that Burleson County is not a huge county. I think it holds less than 4,000 people in the county. So this might have been something that was swept under the rug, and we don't know how many other people have had events that were swept under the rug in Burleson County. So absolutely, social media and the media has played a role in this, and we cannot appreciate everybody who has inquiries and has kept the story going in helping us get to this point.
Is he talking? I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead, Miss.
Is he talking yet?
He does have a trach, so no, he's not talking yet.
Miss Lewis, what you're alleging in terms of being picked up, right, being taken to a jail for something that, for what you're saying is no reason, that's a civil rights violation. Are you, at this point, alleging a civil rights violation was committed by Burleson County deputies?
I am, and it's not for just that reason. That's not our strongest reason. The excessive force that occurred in that cell, Burleson County is responsible, as well as Cotwell.
Could you elaborate on that for me a little bit? Burleson County is responsible in what way?
Well, that occurred in their jail. That was their failure to supervise, their failure to train. They're allowing this person who's not licensed to be in their jail, enter their jail and take control of one of their inmates and toss them about a cell when they were defenseless. So absolutely, that is a civil rights violation.
In terms of damages, I mean, what are the damages to Mr. Jackson right now? Because obviously the incident that landed him in the ICU now seems to be at least medically withdrawn from the incident here at the hospital.
I can't say that. I cannot say that. We do not have all the facts yet. Again, we have to look at the MRIs. We have to look at the other information to see what type of injuries he actually did receive at that jail and here. We don't know what that hold is. We don't know if that was some sort of restraint. We don't know if it was some sort of modality. We have no idea what this hold. We know that the 911 call states that there was this hold. We don't know what that means, but we just know that they have admitted that he was placed in a hold after being sedated.
Does he have a head injury at all in relation to that fall in the jail being thrown?
We have seen that there was some sort of indication of injury on the outside of his head. We have not been able to determine through an MRI yet. We have not given it to an expert yet to look at the MRIs or spoke with a physician as it relates to any damage with the MRI, but we do anticipate on doing that. But we definitely saw that there was some trauma to his head from the outside with our eyes.
So to be clear, we don't know at this point if the condition that he's in now and the condition that he was brought to St. David's in was a result of or a combination of the head injury in the jail, the drugs that were given to him, whatever happened here with the hold. We don't know if it was one thing or a combination of all or one or two, right?
Exactly. We don't know if he was made more prone to injury because of being the injury to his head in the jail. We don't know if it was simply the hold. We don't know if it was the sedation. We don't know what the amount of sedation that was given to him. We know what the 911 call says, but we don't know exactly if that measurement was true. So at this point, it could be a combination. It could not.
What kind of cooperation are you getting from the hospital? Have they talked to you? Do they have cameras that captured any of this?
We are not aware of any cameras, unlike Burleson County and Cotwell County with the body cam and the jail footage. We're not privy to an open record request to this hospital. So yes, we requested it. We have not gotten a response back yet as to whether they're going to give us that information.
Have they talked to you at all?
Only online. We sent the request out, but we have not had a response back, and that's been since day one, just as we have with Burleson County.
But you're getting much more cooperation over at St. David.
Absolutely. They've been great. Yes. Okay.
In terms of facts of the case, I'm good. Are you good?
Yeah, well, I do. It just may seem like an obvious question. What do you guys ultimately want for the outcome of all of this? What do you guys want?
What we ultimately want is obviously for Chester to heal and get better. But what we do want, we want to make sure that this doesn't happen to anybody else. That nobody that lives in Burleson County or surrounding counties or travels through Burleson has to deal with anything like this. Nobody should end up here this way on a charge that was never even officially brought against him. He should have gotten the necessary mental health treatment that he deserves. And anybody, all of us are susceptible to mental health issues in our families or with ourselves, and nobody would want this for anybody in their family. So we definitely want these issues to be addressed in the future properly. That's our ultimate goal here.
You want to see change?
Absolutely. And their law requires change. It's already mandated by law. We want them to follow the law. Is there anything else?
Ms. Lewis, do you mind? Is the family going to speak today?
I'm sorry. You want to? Did you want to speak? Okay. His cousin would like to briefly say something.
If you'll just say your first and last name, spell both of those so that we have it.
My name is Michelle Hampton, Meshell Hampton.
And
And
you
I-
were the relationship.
I'm his cousin,
Okay.
first cousin, yes. And I just wanted to say, as I was looking online at Cross Creek, and I was looking at their vision statement, which states that the treatment and the care provided to each patient is compassionate, it's respectful, and it's ethical. I just want to know, did they show any of these characteristics for CJ, who ended up in ICU after being in your care for a very short period of time? Your mission statement states to provide the very best care to all individuals who seek service at our facility based on their needs to create positive outcomes and to instill hope for their futures. To me, it seems like you didn't meet CJ's needs, nor did you create any positive outcome or instill hope for his future. Instead, you took any possibility for the positive outcome of his future to be an active parent and to be with his children and his family's life.
All right. So we thank you all for coming. We appreciate you guys again for continuing to share this. It's important, and we'll keep you posted on the next developments here. And we look forward to the Texas Rangers investigation to close and get that information back.
Quick question: did they say specifically what prompted them to classify this as a criminal case? Is it because of what happened at the jail? Or because
They haven't indicated exactly what it was. They just assured us that this is indeed a
Gotcha.
criminal investigation.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.